Hey everyone, Aaron here from Ultra RC Hobbies. So today we're going to continue on our TRX4M build series. So on our first video, as you've seen, I definitely kind of struggled a little bit on our new crawler course. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about wheels, tires, and adding some driveline weight. So how we're going to achieve that today is we're going to pick up a set of the new Traxxas method beadlocks in chrome. We are going to use a set of brass wheel rings. So these go inside the beadlock and they take out the normal plastic one. And what they do is they actually wedge in between the beads of the tire. And when you put the two faces together, it'll squish them together. But we'll show you how those work when we go and wrap the brand new Mickey Thompson Baja Pro X's. These are the 2.2 inch tall. So these are the shorter version of what is included on the new High Trail trucks. And then we're also going to toss on a set of wheel extensions / brass weights to widen the track width of the truck out a little bit, give it a little more stability so it's not tipping over side to side. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to weigh the stock wheel and tire, and then we'll weigh these wheels and tires with the rings, and then show you the individual weights of the rings and wheels and what these are going to add. So let's head over to the bench, get this installed, and then once it's installed, we can go test it out on the truck. Before we get too far into the video, let's chat about some of the tools required for taking this truck apart. So normally we're going to require a 1.5 and a 2 mil Allen driver. And we're also going to require a 5 mil nut driver. So that's to take the standard wheel nut off of the truck. You also see that I do have a 4 mil nut driver out there as well. So why we have that is on the back side of these, you'll see that they have these brass barrel nuts. So those actually drop the wheel nut size down to 4 millimeter. So now we'll retain a 4 mil nut driver. So we do have some tool options here from Samex and Hobby Details. If you do not plan on doing these extensions, then these tools are a phenomenal option. So first things first, we have the Samex. These are available in either this beautiful red and black, blue and black, or gold and black. And what it does is it has a 1.5 right on the end, and on the back side of it actually is your 5 mil nut driver for taking the wheels and tires off. So phenomenal option for keeping everything clean and easy. If you're like myself and you like your tools, this is a great setup from Hobby Details. So you get a 5 mil, an 050, 1.5, and a 2 mil for your TRX4Ms. So great choice if you want a little bit more tools, all retained in a nice plastic housing, so you cannot go wrong with this set here. So now that we've kind of walked through the tools, let's take this TRX4 apart and get some weights on all of the stock items. Before we get too far into this video, let's talk about base weight of this truck. So we have a TRX4M Bronco with battery, and our base weight is 494 grams. We're going to go off the Traxxas website. They say the track width outside to outside, you're 124 millimeters or 4.87 inches wide. Okay, as you can see, pull the wheels and tires off the truck. So we brought out our shipping scale here. So let's turn this bad boy on. We're at 0 grams. And let's add the tires onto the scale. And let's also add the wheel nuts, just because we will be changing those as well. So the factory weight of the 4 wheels and tires and the 4 wheel nuts is 78 grams. So we'll write that down. And then let's pull out the aluminum beadlocks, and let's pull out the brass rings and the tires, and let's chat about that. Okay, so now we're going to work on getting base weights of items. So since these tires are not glued on, you can actually pull the tire right off of the wheel if we really wanted to and keep the stock wheel and tire option. So these are the BFG mud terrains. They're actually a pretty good looking tire, a little bit on the softer side too. So I mean, realistically, we could actually go and put those on our beadlocks. But all we're doing right now is we're going to take these off because they're a little bit small, but we'll get a weight of all of the standard wheels. So we're at 14 grams. So we've been putting everything down on this handy dandy sheet of Traxxas paper. So we're going to kind of give a really good comparison to all of the upgrades and really hopefully give a good idea of what all the weights are going to be increasing on all the upgrades we're doing. So 14 grams are what our base wheels are, and now we can toss on our beadlocks and get a base of that. So we've tossed the aluminum wheels, the screws, as well as the tires up on the scale. So that now gives us a number of 114 grams just the wheels alone were 62 grams, and now the wheels and tires are 114. So just the wheels alone were a 48 gram increase. So now let's weigh the Beadlock brass rings. Okay, everyone, so we've done some hard math. So our stock weight for our wheels and tires was 78 grams. The stock weight of the new aluminums with our tires is 114 grams. We did add 62 grams with the brass rings, but we did have to account for we are not going to be using two plastics. So the two plastics were 6 grams. So we have 176 minus 6 is 178, and then we have to minus our stock weight of 78 grams, which leaves us with 92 grams of an increased weight with the aluminum wheels, tires, and the brass rings, as well as the hardware was measured as well. I think it only added a couple grams. So it really wasn't major, but it was definitely something we had to do. So if anyone was wondering, the base weight of the wheels for the aluminums with the rings and the hardware was 48 grams. So that compared to the plastic was only 14. So we did have a nice little pickup even on that. So now let's get into how these beadlocks work. As you can see, we have two rings off of the beadlocks. So like I was mentioning before, now what we're going to get into is we're going to have one ring, we're going to have a face, and we're going to have a backside. What I found the easiest way to do this is this brass ring. You can actually just put inside the tire. So it's kind of a little tricky to get it first started. So I usually just kind of take one finger and wrap it around. And there we go. So the biggest thing is you just want to make sure that that ring is centered and you have the bead of the tire on the actual channel of that brass ring. So now what we can do is, since we have that in, we can push our face through. So normally I just kind of pull ever so slightly on the bead just to make sure that everything seats as it should and it goes all the way down. You can feel it that it's actually linked 100% solid to the back. So now you can see that we have the ring and the thread. So now we need to add this piece here. And this is kind of the tricky part, getting everything lined up while still lining the bead and everything else up there. So got it all linked together. Now you can see that the threads for all the holes are lining up. So now we can take our 1.5 mil driver with a screw on it and ever so gently start threading these in. So we're going to want to go in a star pattern, and we're not going to want to lock one side down. So you can see that there's still a little bit of thread from the base of the screw to the actual aluminum ring, and we're going to go all the way across. We're going to tighten one down, and we're going to repeat that process. So I'm just going to toss you a time lapse because this is pretty boring. So now we have that all locked down. So like I said, we started in a star pattern. So started there and then went all the way across, up, across, across, across. We did not lock all of those screws down. We got them all started. And then on the second round, doing the exact same process, we snug them down a little bit. So start at the top and the same cross pattern, and just get the screws snug on the face. And then on the third circuit, you can do that same star pattern and lock them down fully. So now we have one completely done. This one has the brass ring. Please make sure to notice that these tires are directional. So you want to kind of plan that out for the rest of the four. So let's weigh this one and see what one singular tire and wheel with the brass ring weighs. So our weight of that is 56 grams. So that is 22 grams less than all four plastic wheels and tires. So I think we're off to a good start. So let's get the other four done and away we go. Okay, so now we've got all of our tires mounted. A little trick that I have found that really makes this so much easier is if you put the tread pattern and the tire exactly as it would sit on the truck, now you have less likely chance to maybe have a tire that is backwards with the right wheel face. So now let's check our math and see if 170 grams is the correct weight we're going to get. 168, so we're 2 grams off. So math was a little not on our side. I wonder if we knock some dust off or something like that. But let's update our list to 168. So that would give us a 90-gram increase here instead of 92. So I just updated that. So now let's get these extensions put on, and we'll weigh these out and get them on the truck and see what we increase. In the extension kit, you're going to get, obviously, 4 extensions, 4 new wheel pins, 4 barrel nuts. These are also made out of brass. So now, since we're offsetting the wheel out so far, the standard wheel nut isn't going to have any axle thread to catch onto. So we need these barrel nuts. And inside of this is going to be super hard to see, but there is going to be threads inside of that. And then we're also going to have 4 washers with serrated edges on them. So they do have a little bit of teeth on them. So they do grip into the wheel pretty good. So let's weigh these right now and get a base weight of all of these items. So the only thing not on the scale right now is going to be the hex pins, just because we're going to retain the stock ones that the truck includes. So it's going to be a wash. So we have our 4 extensions, we have our 4 washers and 4 barrel nuts. So 64 grams is going to be our increase. So now let's take off the stock hexes, which we do have a couple questions about that. So I will walk you through taking those off to hopefully help guide a little bit and make sure that we do this all correctly and we're not wrecking anything. What we're going to want is, I'll take the body off so this makes it a little bit easier for everyone to see so we're not stuck in the black abyss of the wheel well. So what we're going to have is we're going to have a little bit of a space between the hex and the lockout. So what we want to do is take a flat blade screwdriver and just give it a twist, and that pops right up. So make sure when you do pull off that hex that you don't lose the pin, just like we almost did. Like I said, we are going to retain that pin, so we are just going to keep that to the side so we don't throw any of the weights off. The front end is exactly the same, so if we want to do the same thing on the front end, again, just give it a little bit of a twist, and that pops right off. So as you can see, we have the 4 hexes and 4 wheel nuts, and our scale doesn't pick it up. So let's just say that's going to be 1 gram, just for all intentions purposes. So 1 gram minus 66 grams, that's an increase of 65 grams on top of our 90 grams. So we have added 155 grams to this truck. Math is hard in your mind while you're doing it all through a screen. So now let's get these installed and let's go have some fun. So now we can get these extensions installed. So what we want to do is we want to put the pin back into the axle itself. You want to make sure that it's pretty much equal on both sides of it. These also have the same backer to it. So these just slide right over. And sometimes you do require a little bit of a push, and you heard that snap. So that's to make sure that it's all locked on. So now we can do that same process for the other 3 wheels and tires. And again, make sure that hex pin is pushed in equally on both sides. That just slides on. Sometimes what you can do is you can kind of give it a little bit of a spin just to make sure that you are engaged correctly. So this is the one thing with these pins. They are teeny by tiny, so they are a little bit fun to put on. So working in a good lit area or working on something like a white countertop, a yoga mat, a Cow RC magnetic work mat, anything like that makes this process a little bit more, I'm going to say, anxiety ridden. So let's just toss these barrel nuts on with the serrated nuts now and get the wheels and tires on. So now we want to make sure we also put the tires on the right way. I definitely can tell which tires are the front and which tires are the back. So we put the cone washer with the cone to the top, just so it puts a little bit of tension, because we don't want to over tighten these. We see a lot of people over tightening these and actually breaking the barrel nut in two. So it's something you definitely don't want to over tighten. So we'll grab our 4mm, like I said, 4mm nut driver now for this, and we can thread that on. Like I said, you just want to get them snug. They don't need to be crazy tight by any means. Now this one can go here, same exact process. So our cone washer is cone up, and then we throw that barrel nut on there and get that started by hand and lock it down. We did have a couple people say that on these stock wheels, so these ones or the plastic ones, that essentially the brass nut or barrel nut didn't go through the wheel face. We found, honestly, taking a little bit of a hobby knife or even a blade of some sort, or even a round file, and just ever so slightly opening the back and the front of that up, that barrel nut slipped right through, no problem. So there is our new truck. So as you can tell, once we put the body on, the width increase is quite a substantial amount. So the truck definitely looks quite a substantial amount wider, and it is going to be 155 grams heavier. So now let's take it to the course and go have some fun. So we're over at the crawler course. So let's take a look and see if we've helped ourselves yet do any more crawling. We added some capability. I think we've already got a little bit farther than we did before. Can't quite get up that. Nope, can't quite do that. Yeah, so it still looks like we're getting stuck, as you can see right on that corner. So we need just a little bit more grip on the truck, but it definitely seems like crawl gearing is probably going to be a good option. So that 2-speed is really going to help us. So for anyone that has a TRX4, you kind of get to this point where you're kind of stuck and you have about 3/8, almost half throttle, and the truck doesn't do anything and just kind of gets bound up. You can hear the motor. It's in its electrical whine state, and it's pretty much amped out and it doesn't go anywhere. So I think adding the 2-speed transmission for crawlability is really going to help. Let's see if we can kind of give it some power. We need Chris, because Chris is our baseline tester. But a little bit of power, you can totally just get over it. Now I've got myself in a very big predicament because I don't really want to back down to get over it. But let's see if we can kind of just crawl our way over this hump ever so slightly. Okay, so now you back up. Oh, see. So we definitely couldn't do that before. So that's a huge increase. Let's go over to this side. This side we made pretty much zero progress on the whole time we tried testing it. And this side, most people that have come in have not been able to conquer this side yet either, even with heavily modded trucks. So this side definitely seems to be a little bit more treacherous. And now we're bound up. See if I can maybe use that wall to our advantage. Nope. So you can still hear that motor is just bound right up and it's amping out, so you have no more throttle control. It'd be nice just to kind of creep the truck, but you can see it instantly goes into a tire hopping scenario and you can't get it up. So a little bit of speed maybe. No, it just pulls us right over. Okay, so backside line, still not happening. Still can't do it. Doesn't matter. So now we'll put it right here and start this line. This was pretty easy with the other truck. You could pretty much get up as long as you can get your one tire over this and not get yourself too far. You were good. But now we've got bound up. So pretty much what I said not to do, I did. So maybe we'll start over here as you were coming through the tunnel. And off the counter it goes. So Chris definitely does it a lot better than I do. As you can probably tell, Chris is a much better crawler driver than I am. Going fast, turning left and right, that's my jam. But you get kind of high centered right here. Let's see if I can maybe get some grip. No, I'm just flat out high centered. Okay, Chris definitely did that better. And he tried this line too. So coming through this way, getting up. Can't quite get up. And we're bound up. Yeah, we just keep getting bound up. So that's one thing with the extra width now. It seems like we're kind of struggling getting in some of those areas. Yeah, Chris definitely does it better. So we'll get Chris to test it before our next series video, and we'll go from there. So let's jump over to the bench, give our thoughts, and give you exact details of everything that we increased. So stock weight, track width, as well as the weight we increased today. So let's jump over to the bench. Okay, so this is kind of video number 2 of the updated series for the TRX4M. So after our crawling test, I'll definitely say we did increase the performance of this truck a little bit. And I think the biggest thing that we still lack is that slow speed control. So on next week's video, we're going to be installing the 2-speed transmission from Traxxas. And we're also going to show you kind of some cool things talking about other electronics. So charging, we're going to talk about that new port adapter, and we're going to talk about a upgraded servo. So getting into the brass tacks of what we achieved today, I would say crawlability definitely went up and performance definitely went up. When we talk about what we've increased now for track width, so like I said, the stock track width is 124 millimeters. Our new updated track width is 136, I'm gonna say 0.5, that's how we calipered it on the backside. So that's 5.37 inches versus 4.87 inches. So we increased half of an inch, and we went from a stock weight with battery of 494 grams all the way up to 650 grams. So our math was pretty close. It really ended up being 156 grams we did increase on this TRX4M. You can already feel the front end still pretty heavy. So for anyone that didn't understand or I missed saying it, we did just add those brass wheel weights to the front. So these two front tires have the brass wheel weights, and the back ones are just still using those plastic beadlock retainers. So we're gonna keep this. I'll throw this in the description below. That is video number 2 of the Traxxas TRX4M upgrade series. So look out for video number 3 coming soon up on our YouTube channel. Thank you everyone so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget, if you like this video and want to follow along the series, hit that subscribe button, the bell, so you get a notification every time we post up a video, and give this video a thumbs up. It always helps our channel and helps us know that you enjoyed the content. So hopefully everyone has a great day, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.